Welcome to this episode of our program, Arab Affairs. Today we'll be speaking about the Egyptian-South Sudanese relations in light of the visit of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to South Sudan, which is the first of its kind to Juba, where he held talks with South Sudan's President Salva Kiir. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that the visit, the first of its kind, as I said, shall rather witnessed this important meeting between the president and his South Sudanese counterpart. He was received by President Salva Kiir, and the meetings shall focus on a number of files related to joint cooperation between the two countries, means of boosting bilateral relations, notably in the economic and developmental fields. Also, the summit or the talks tackled the recent political developments related to a number of regional and continental causes of mutual concerns. This is the video of President Salva Kiir receiving President al-Sisi in South Sudan, where he was welcomed and received by the South Sudanese himself. This is the first visit an Egyptian president carries out, in the first visit of President al-Sisi to South Sudan. Right, welcome back, and this is what we are going to tackle today: the Egyptian-South Sudanese relations and the significance of such an important visit and the timing of this visit. We'll be speaking about that before we delve into our discussion. Let's first have a quick look on the Arab news that took place during this week, and we'll come back for more discussion.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserted that the region's security is linked to Egypt's national security and praised Kuwait's wise strategy in facing current challenges. The president's remarks came during his meeting with Kuwaiti Foreign Minister Ahmed Nasser al-Sabah. Al-Sabah conveyed a message from Kuwaiti Emir Nawaf Ahmed al-Sabah to President al-Sisi, which included Kuwaiti government and people's gratitude for the strong and deep ties with Egypt in various domains. Earlier, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with visiting Iraqi Minister of Defense Gum'a Saadoun. The meeting was attended by Minister of Defense General Mohammad Zaki. The presidential spokesman said that the talks covered means of boosting military cooperation between the two countries, as well as joint drills and Arab and regional issues of mutual concern. Egypt slammed on Thursday an explosion that rocked a Greek-operated tanker docking at Saudi Arabia's Red Sea port of Ash-Shaqiq on Wednesday. The Saudi-led military coalition blamed the attack on Yemen's Houthi rebels. The incident occurred when an explosive-laden boat launched by Yemen's Houthi rebels was intercepted and destroyed. In a foreign ministry statement, Egypt reiterated its condemnation of aggressive acts targeting regional waters and pivotal institutions in Saudi Arabia, which represented a direct threat to free international trade, in addition to security and freedom of international navigation. Dozens of lawmakers from across Libya's political spectrum are taking part in consultations in the Moroccan city of Tangiers as part of efforts to resolve the country's political crisis. The meetings come as Libyan delegates on Monday resumed separate UN-led virtual talks on a selection mechanism for an executive to help lead the country out of the conflict and prepare for elections. A member of the legislature who is based in the western city of Misrata said that they're working on taking place a roadmap before an official session in Libya to unify the House of Representatives and bring the country out of crisis. Sudan's former prime minister and top opposition figure Sadiq al-Mahdi died from a coronavirus infection on Thursday. The 84-year-old leader of the National Ummah Party was transferred to the United Arab Emirates for treatment 3 weeks ago after being hospitalized in Sudan and testing positive for COVID-19.
Welcome back. Before we delve into our discussion, let me first present our condolences to the Sudanese leading figure, Sadiq Al-Mahdi, for Sudan and for the Sudanese people. Turning to our topic of the day and to shed light on the visit of President Fattah al-Sisi to South Sudan, we have with us over the phone Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much. And this is the first visit by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to South Sudan. I guess it's also the first visit by an Egyptian leader since a very long time to South Sudan. How do you read such a visit? How do you read the relations between Egypt and South Sudan, and where do we want to take those relations to?
For my generation, I see it very important. If you have a look on my Facebook page, you will see that I put today a post stamp since Egypt and Sudan were one country. I used to salute the flag of Egypt and Sudan when I was at the secondary school. So we look to Sudan as a part of Egypt, and Egypt is a part of Sudan. And unfortunately, even if Sudan is separated itself from Egypt, now the problem is Sudan itself is threatened to be divided again and again.
Yes.
And this is, I think, one very important point and one very important file of our president's visit to South Sudan, because as you well know, there was a sort of conflict between the South Sudanese themselves. Now we are keen to help them in order to maintain the unity of their country. I was personally involved in the efforts of Egypt and the Arab League in order to encourage investment in South Sudan. I visited Khartoum and Juba several times at that time. So it is in the main topic and policies of the foreign policy of Egypt is to help Sudan by all means. It is a part of Egypt. Don't forget that we are hosting 4 million Sudanese living among us in Egypt, without saying that those are foreigners or anything like that. So it's quite obvious that Egypt is keen. That's why I really appreciate very much this, as you rightly said, the first visit of any leader of Egypt to Sudan, and South Sudan especially. We want South Sudan to keep its unity, to come forward, to feel that it is part of Egypt, part of the Arab community and the Arab League. So we shall not reserve any efforts in order to help Sudan for technical cooperation, economic cooperation, trade, name it. And I think we can do a lot there. And the Egyptian efforts are highly appreciated. If you visit Sudan, you will see that they look to Egypt as a brotherly country.
Here, the meeting between President al-Sisi and the South Sudanese president, here, President Kiir or Salva Kiir hailed the Egyptian efforts to achieve peace and stability in South Sudan. We know that after the independence of South Sudan, it has been targeted to several internal problems, conflicts that reflected on the stability of South Sudan. How would you shed light on the Egyptian role that it played in trying to find the stability and find consensus among the South Sudanese parties?
The good side of the story that Egypt is a very acceptable face everywhere in the Arab world, everywhere in Africa. I feel this wherever I go in the Arab world or in Africa, especially in Sudan as a part of our country one day. So the good thing that Egypt has good contacts with all the parties in South Sudan. So we can bring them together. We can continue a dialogue among the Sudanese themselves under the umbrella of an Egyptian office in order to make them feel that there is a sort of big brother who will help them to solve any problem between them, to be a sort of arbitrator if there is any conflict among the Sudanese themselves. And if they need anything, we shall, of course, supply them with experts, with teachers. We host a lot of them in our schools and our universities. Egypt will give all its efforts in order to make sure that Sudan is a united country, a positive member of the African and the Arab states, and we shall continue to do that.
Yes, as you said, respectively, here the President, during his meeting with President Salva Kiir, asserted Egypt's keenness to provide technical support and expertise to South Sudan. Also, they spoke of means of boosting bilateral cooperation and relations on all fronts. What do we mean by on all fronts? What kind of cooperation do both countries need at this upcoming stage? What kind of cooperation or boosting cooperation, in which fields do you think the South Sudanese need our support?
I see many dimensions there. We start by the security. We want to help the Sudanese to maintain their security and to help them in order to make sure that they are not threatened either from internal problem or external threat. Another dimension, which is the foreign policy. Egypt can represent all what Sudan and South Sudan needs from the outside world. Third, that we of course, we shall continue our economic cooperation, and we encourage Egyptian investors to go and invest in Sudan. Trade, we have to make sure that the flow of trade and commodities between the two countries is going on. Energy, Egypt is seeking to connect the electric net in Sudan with Egypt, because now we are in a very good position to export the Egyptian and the African surplus of power, electric power, to Europe through Egypt and Greece, like we have seen in the last few weeks. Technical assistance, they need teachers, they need doctors, they need hospitals. All these dimensions we are there, and thank God that we have the Egyptian fund for development in Africa, which we can use. And here I use this opportunity to ask to increase the capital of this fund, because it needs sort of financial support. Maybe you can ask our partners in the Arab League to support the fund also, and because it's doing a beautiful job in Africa and in Sudan and in some Arab countries. The sky is the limit there, and Sudan is a relatively very new country. It needs everything in every field and dimension.
Here I want to ask you about two things. First, how do you find the economic cooperation that can exist between Egypt and South Sudan from one side? Plus, the second one would be the Arab League. And we are aware that the Arab League has already invited South Sudan to be an observer and part of and send a delegation for observing, for being observers and exist in the Arab League. So first, what kind of economic cooperation can exist between Egypt, the Arab world, and South Sudan? And then we'll speak about being observers at the Arab League.
Of course, I will not be surprised when Sudan will occupy a seat in the Arab League as observer, or maybe in the future as a member, because they were a member, as a matter of fact, yes, as a part of the big Sudan. And this we have to continue these efforts to make them feel that we are there, we feel that they were part of us, and we are a sort of one unity. Another thing that, of course, the Arab League should encourage all the Arab funds in order to come and invest in Sudan. And I want to tell you that there are a huge number of investments, Arab investments in South Sudan and in Sudan, but it's not yet sufficient. We want to increase this. We want to increase partners, not necessarily from the Arab world. You remember in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt was asking the Europeans in order to invest in Africa
Yes.
with the Egyptian experience. And of course, as Sudan is part of Africa, we can use this dimension also. China is accepting such initiative. Japan accepted such an initiative. So finance is there, but unfortunately, money is not the only problem. We want to make sure that the internal security is there in order to encourage all of us to go to participate in the development of such a dear country to us.
Yes, this is very much true. Also, we remember that Egypt has held two important world conferences in Sharm el-Sheikh, the 2018 Africa Summit, and later on the last EU Summit in 2019. Both sought to increase cooperation between Africa, the Arab world, and Europe, and the whole world on the second hand. If we can speak about economic cooperation that can really exist between the Arab world, Egypt in particular, and South Sudan, and how you view this very particular file.
The most important thing in such a file is the internal security. Of course, we can allocate as much money as you want because investors are seeking to go to places where they can make more investments and more revenues. The problem that all what you are spending are threatened with internal problems if they are still fighting each other or there are threats from neighbor countries or from anywhere outside the country. So this one very important step to do to make Sudan a safe place in heaven, safe haven for any investor to invest there, and to teach the Sudanese how to treat an investor. We are learning this in Egypt even, and we have to spread our experience in Sudan, whether in the South Sudan or North Sudan, in order to be able to hospitalize new investors. And I want to tell you one example that once we were in the Arab League and I calculate the commitments or the Arab funds for investment, in one session we have commitments of $2.5 billion to go immediately and invest in South Sudan. The problem is we have to make South Sudan a safe haven for investment, a safe haven in order for any individual in the Arab world, especially the investors and economic and entities, to go and to do this without any hesitation. And I think it's not that easy, but we have to start this seriously.
Right. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister and the Secretary General of the Arab Investors Union, we thank you so much for being with us over the phone on discussing the visit of President Fattah al-Sisi to South Sudan. Before we continue on with our discussion to this topic, let me here move to a good note and a very positive one. I guess one of the positive notes that makes us every day proud of our calibers is that Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Dr. Hala Al-Said, was selected as the best minister in the Arab world. The United Arab Emirates Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, congratulated President Al-Sisi on this occasion. Al-Said was selected as a chairperson for the newly established the Sovereign Fund of Egypt, in addition to her appointment as Minister of Planning in 2017. Let's watch this very particular report on this issue.
Minister of Planning and Economic Development Dr. Hala Saeed was selected as the best minister in the Arab world. United Arab Emirates Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, congratulated President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on this occasion. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum added that Egypt's governmental development is achieving remarkable progress under the leadership of President al-Sisi. Sheikh Mohammed announced on Wednesday the winners of the Arab Government Excellence Award, which aims to recognize leading Arab ministers for their outstanding work in advancing governance and administrative practice in the region. Saeed was selected as chairperson of the newly established Sovereign Fund of Egypt, in addition to her appointment as Minister of Planning in 2017. Saeed plays the main role in setting the features of Egypt 2030 vision, in addition to managing the country's digital transformation. Egypt is working to develop a comprehensive plan for reform and governance of its administrative apparatus to raise the efficiency of institutions and create business environments supporting the role of private sector and attractive for domestic and foreign investment. Launching the awards last year in May, Sheikh Mohammed said that the Arab League can play a major developmental role for the region. The Arab Government Excellence Award aims to create a new development movement in the Arab world.
Right, this is a positive note, and our congratulations to Dr. Hala Saeed, one of the very prominent calibers and ministers in Egypt, and definitely the Arab Government Excellence Award aims to create a new development movement in the Arab world. Dr. Hala Saeed was part of putting the vision of Egypt's 2030 for sustainable development. Again, congratulations. We're so proud, and me, myself, I'm so proud of Egyptian women. How do they excel and how do they perform, not only in Egypt, but worldwide. Returning back to our topic and the visit of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to South Sudan, and we have with us over the phone Ambassador Mohammed Higazi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, Ambassador Higazi.
Good afternoon to you, Mona.
Thank you so much. And we're speaking here about the first visit of President Sisi to South Sudan, the first of an Arab leader to South Sudan ever. And we're speaking about the agenda of talks that is held between President Sisi and the South Sudanese president.
Allow me at the outset, Mona, to refer to the very important timing of this visit, where there is many issues to be discussed in the framework of the Nile Basin countries and the Horn of Africa, where a lot of turmoil and threatening elements that need to be discussed. The most important reason of this visit, as described by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is that South Sudan represents the depth of the Egyptian strategic and national security. We have a historical relation, and Southern Sudan can be considered the bridge between the Arab world and Africa. It has also, as nominated by many, a lot of opportunities and potentials, both in the petroleum or in water or in agriculture. Name it, you'll find it in Southern Sudan. All what we need is a comprehensive strategic cooperation where we can together, as members of the Nile Basin, work together towards a bright future where Egypt has a historical ties, very cordial over the years or decades. Egypt has developed since the independence of Southern Sudan in 2011.
Russ, Ambassador Hegazi, just let me take 1 minute of your time. Stay with us, please, because we will go to the Adhan and we'll come back for more from you. Just 1 minute.
Be the first to know. The news live at the site of.
Right, welcome back, and I guess back to you, Ambassador Hegazi. Ambassador Hegazi?
Yes, hi.
Yes, we were just speaking about our relations since 2011 and what happened after that.
Thank you very much, Mona. I wanted just to reiterate what has been said by President Abdel Fattah Sisi this morning with his counterpart, President Salva Kiir, that Egypt is fully engaged in supporting Southern Sudan in all aspects of development, as we consider Southern Sudan as a supporting extension to our national and strategic security, and vice versa. I guess that this very exceptional relation goes back decades, where Egypt have supported Southern Sudan, believing that it's a very important country in the Nile Basin, as well as in the larger geography of the Horn of Africa. Besides, we consider Southern Sudan also a bridge between the Arab world, as I said, and Africa. It has a lot of potentials to offer. It has petroleum, it has water, it has agriculture potential, as well as the will of the people to cooperate. So we developed with Southern Sudan since 2011 a comprehensive strategy for cooperation in all fields where water is just one part of multidisciplinary efforts in all domain. In the educational domain, as you know, Egypt has a deep-rooted relation with Southern Sudan, where even a proverb that the mother of any Southern Sudanese wishes him to study in Egypt, and many have done so. Half of the cabinet now in Southern Sudan have graduated from Egyptian universities. We have established a branch for the University of Alexandria in Southern Sudan. We have hosted many Southern Sudanese students in all disciplinaries, as well as we have embarked on magnitude of projects diversified from electricity, where we have established 3 very important power grids and power generation stations in 3 parts of Southern Sudan since independence, and we have established many medical centers, and we supplied the Central Hospital in Guba with all its requirements. Besides, the Egyptian partnership agency with Africa has also financed many training programs. President Salva Kiir this morning have praised this effort and have also assured that the successful drive of the Egyptian companies working in Juba and in Southern Sudan is exemplary, and he will give them all the facilities required, as well as he appreciated the training programs that have been offered to his country over the years. Egypt has, as you know, Mona, supported firmly Southern Sudan in its drive for peace and stability. Yes. It has played a political role in bringing together the 2 parties, Salva Kiir and Riek Machar, to establish the National Reconciliation Agreement. And in the security front, Egypt is the larger contributor to the UN multilateral forces in Southern Sudan. We have also played a very important developmental role in the agriculture sector. as well as in the irrigation, besides, of course, our recognized effort in supporting Southern Sudan during the confrontation of the coronavirus by an airlift that carried a lot of medical supplies and medical doctors in convoys that haven't been stopped all the years to Southern Sudan. And after the water floods in September, Egypt also have supported massively Southern Sudan. We are embarked since January 2018 in the establishment also of an industrial zone in the capital so that we can increase the Egyptian industries and satisfy the needs of the Southern Sudanese markets. This is part of many other efforts in all aspects, being it culture, educational, health, security, political, military. I think, as I said, electricity and infrastructure, railways and water courses, cleansing and preparation is very important, also part of our many aspects of cooperation with Southern Sudan.
You said, sir, that two important issues, that this visit is very timely and it carries lots and lots of significance, since it is the first to be carried out by an Egyptian president, by an Egyptian leader, and also the timing of this visit is very crucial.
As I said, yeah, Mona, as I said, sorry if you have completed your question. I understood what you have said clearly. Yes, it is very crucial time where the water issue is becoming very contingent, and the current impasse in the Egyptian, Sudanese Renaissance Dam negotiation requires the wisdom. As we always say, Africa is a continent of elder leaders. So President Salva Kiir, with all his knowledge and expertise, can, with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, send a message that we all seeking an agreement. And the agreement should be based on the search of the joint management of the water course to the benefit of the riparians. And I'm sure that what has been said, that both presidents called for reaching a binding legal agreement between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan is a key to stability, because we seek a Nile basin, not only the Eastern Nile, all the White Nile or the Blue Nile, as I said. We are not seeking a sectorial cooperation. We are seeking a comprehensive cooperation where water will become one part of a multidisciplinary framework of cooperation, power grid, roadways. As we can see and notice with Egypt and Sudan, lately power grid that will link the two countries, railway that will bring you from Alexandria to Khartoum, why not to Addis Ababa as well, so that we can all enjoy linkages and geographical benefits from our outlook to the Mediterranean, so that a landlocked country like Ethiopia can definitely benefit from this kind of cooperation, where water security, if we understood this well, will not be based on a national level, but it will be regional security. So water security can definitely be based on a regional approach where cooperation can bring all countries together. This is, I think, what we discussed over the years with Ethiopia, Sudan, and elsewhere. I hope that Salva Kiir, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi talks today add value to this argument.
Yes. Here, the President's visit to South Sudan comes within some of the important meetings he has held during the past week. We have seen the president meeting with the vice, or rather the foreign minister of Kuwait, with the defense minister of Iraq. We have seen the president speaking to a number of presidents. Ramaphosa, our South Sudan's president, was one of the important calls that the president is holding. How do you read those meetings? How do you read the Egyptian keenness to open up to not just the Arab or the African world, but all together, and propagate this to the whole world?
I think it's all linked, Mona. Thank you very much for putting this question, because President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's project and Egypt aim over the years after the 30th of June is to regain peace and security in the region. Whatever you do in the developmental front will not be successful unless you establish an atmosphere of peace and security, tranquility that will lead each country to run its business without interventions from other states, so that we are standing firm against the Iranian or the Turkish interventions in the Arab affairs. And we are asking our brothers, say in Libya, to reconcile and to establish the nation state and to help the Libyan institutions, for example, to regain back power and the control over the arms and wealth. So what we do also together with Sudan, when we met all the Sudanese leadership lately, and today we are meeting also with the leadership in Southern Sudan, same with Kuwait in regards to the Gulf region, or in Libya in regards to North Africa, or with Southern Sudan today in regards to the Horn of Africa and the Nile Basin. It's all interlinked, is to search peace and stability that will allow the countries to look after their people. This is the best way that we can confront illegal immigration, displacement. Look what is happening in Ethiopia that will add to the displacement problem in Africa, where 28 million are suffering. It's not only about illegal immigration to Europe or elsewhere. It is about development. It's about political settlement of issues, so that Africa can contain its people and allow them better future. This is the only way Egypt see, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is always claiming that through stability, through development, through investment, through trade, through political solution, Africa can strive and definitely can silence its guns.
Which makes me ask, how do you find the Egyptian diplomacy towards all the regional and international files, and how would the keenness of the leadership himself to show or to carry out with diplomacy in person reflects?
I think, Mona, two phases has been with us since 2013, since the 30th of June 2013. The first phase was to re-establish and to regain security in the country, to confront terrorism and also to confront the economic challenges that Egypt was facing then. After regaining control over the economy and impact on one of Egypt's most important economic reform program, recognized by the world financial and international communities, we moved to help the region, as we did internally, help the region through a phase of stability. So we are exerting now a proactive diplomacy towards all the contingent areas, all the conflicts that we are facing in the region and in Africa. As you know, Mona, the geography of the Middle East and Africa is very limited, though we are confronting wars in many parts in Northern Africa, in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq. in Yemen, in instability in the Mediterranean. So in this very limited geography, some stability is required so that we can benefit, say, in the Mediterranean from the gas discoveries, and we can guarantee the stability of the Red Sea, and we move the Nile Basin towards a scheme of cooperation, and North Africa to be controlled by its people without the intrusive interventions of the Turks or the Iranian in the Gulf. So our proactive diplomacy is the second phase, where Egypt is moving positively along with its partners in the region and outside from Europe, and I hope with the new American administration, we work together towards a much more stable Africa, a much more stable Middle East, where the Palestinian issue has to be addressed being the core issue. One shouldn't really forget that all the drives towards Israel over the past few months should be translated as an agreement to reach a conclusion to this wars and conflict. And in the heart of the stability of the Middle East should be always in our mind the Palestinian question.
Very much indeed. Ambassador Mohammed Hegazi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much for being with us over the phone and for your input here about this very significant visit, the first of its kind of an Egyptian leader to South Sudan, which definitely after the independence of South Sudan from Sudan, and we'll be updating you on definitely the outcome of the visit later on. For now, we thank you so much for watching. Next Saturday will be another important Arab file. Until then, it's goodbye.